All right. Well, thanks for being here. It's a pleasure to give you guys a little bit of insight into what we're doing at Vertical. I'm going to focus on one side of our business today, but I'm going to take a minute and just give you a little bit of a quick background and a picture of the overall Vertical companies. So my name is Smoke Wallin. I am the CEO of Vertical Wellness and president of Vertical Companies. We're a family of companies that are doing all things related to the plant, with the exception of retail. So we're basically cultivating, extracting, manufacturing, putting it into brands, and distributing our brands to retail, primarily in the state of California, but we're a multi-state operator. We've got operations as well in Arizona, and one of the first cultivation licenses in Ohio. And I'm going to talk about our hemp business in a second, but we have deployed, we announced last week, we closed on $58 million Series A. We have a significant campus out in the desert in Needles, which is, anyone know where Needles is? It's kind of near Vegas, but not. It's on the border of California, Arizona, and Nevada. We have 29 acres there. Right now we have 60,000 square feet of indoor grow. The first building has 1,100 lights. The second building has 600 lights. We're doing all types of extraction. We have one of the volatile licenses in California, so we do butane in a C1D1 room. We do ethanol and we do CO2. And then we're just starting our manufacturing up for food and beverages and other products, all in the THC world. I have about 35 brands that we're launching in California, some of which are our own brands and some of which are partner brands that we've gone and looked at winners in different states that were a little bit ahead of the California adult use. So for instance, we have a partnership with Starbuds, who have a great brand in Colorado called Caviar with a K, which we're launching in California. Evergreen Organics in Nevada is the #1 edible. It's the highest price edible as well. We're launching that this month in California. How many people in the room, by show of hands, listen to The Game? All right, all right. So Game is a rapper, and we just launched Trees by Game. So this is his brand. And in California, unlike Canada, we have all the tools at our disposal to build brands, right? So you've got packaging and celebrity endorsements and events where you can do live tastings. And I have a Game billboard in LA. So we can do all the things that you'd want to do for brands, which is pretty powerful. And our main premise is that California is going to be where the big brands are built, and then those brands are going to end up everywhere else. And why would it be untrue for cannabis if it's true of most other categories? So we think it's a pretty good bet. We also have a very large outdoor operation, and you don't hear a lot about this in this space yet, but I think as we go forward, you're gonna find out that outdoor is a very effective way of growing. We've got 585 acres in a ranch in Santa Barbara County. We grew 20 acres last year, very successfully, and we'll do 50 acres this year on that property. Produce a pretty significant amount of biomass that probably 90% of which will be extracted and then put into brands. But we're growing great flower. We got 3 cultivation seasons out there, and there's a reason that most of the fruits and vegetables across North America come from that central coast of California. It's a magical growing area. So watch for that. I think we're down to about $75 a pound in production, not counting tax. So it's a pretty powerful thing. But what I'm really here to talk about is vertical wellness. And when the Farm Bill passed at the end of the year, it changed everything in the U.S. with regard to hemp and CBD. And fortunately, we had invested in Kentucky. We put about $5 million into Kentucky. We have a 90,000 square foot facility in western Kentucky where we're doing extraction. We did a 100-acre grow with some partner farmers last year, which we're currently processing into biomass or into CBD oil right now. We're processing about 1,000 pounds a day currently. But we expect to go up to 10,000 pounds a day by next harvest, so I can process the 2,500 acres I've locked up for this year. So quickly, I'm going to skip through just. So we're raising $50 million for vertical wellness. This is separate and distinct from what we just raised, $58 million for our overall companies. And the main uses of that is to build out the plant for extraction. I have $2 million in a drying machine, because when that biomass comes off in October, you've got to bring it inside very quickly and get it ready for processing. $17.5 million for farmer payments. There's a lot of people saying that they're growing a lot of hemp. There's not a lot of people who have farmers locked up in contracts that they're paying to grow hemp. That's what we're doing. So when I run out of biomass this year, because we only did 100 acres, I'll be buying bio from farmers that have product left over from last harvest. And I can buy it right now in the open market for about $35 a pound. But the way we've done this with contracts with farmers, I'm paying the farmers progress payments. I'm providing $5 million of seeds to these guys. And by doing it this way, we're down to under $5 a pound for biomass. So we have extraordinary margins, which you'll see. We're doing the raise in two pieces. We have a convertible debt structure that can convert on an IPO, and we've got a Series A equity structure. I won't get into the details of that, but happy to share if anyone's interested. So what's the opportunity? I think we can all agree that this is a really hot space, right? We're all here. I think we can all agree that hemp and CBD is pretty interesting and it's explosive. But let's just think for a second. Right now, the current market size is a fraction of where it's going to be very shortly. Now, why do I say that? There's huge consumer interest. And when we add all of the normal mainstream retail outlets, just to fill the pipeline is going to be a massive amount of product that hasn't been sold in the past, right? So Walgreens and CVS announced 2 weeks ago they were going to carry hemp-based CBD products. They're just the little tip of the iceberg of all of retail doing it. Every major retailer, Target, Walmart, you name it, are going to get in this space, and fairly soon. So it's a pretty exciting time. We can all agree that it's going to explode, and the question is, how many people are going to jump into it to make it, and that'll determine whether you think it's a good business idea, right, in terms of where we are. But we really have two buckets, the same as we've done in cannabis. We're a vertically integrated supply chain. I use this example a lot, but if I wanted to create a whiskey, I came out of the alcohol beverage industry and many years there, and if I wanted to create a new whiskey, I could call 10 people right now who could make it for me exactly to my specs, exactly to my recipe. If I want to create a new cannabis brand or a CBD brand, who do you call? In cannabis, certainly, there's no one to call, right? There's the old school guys that you can't do business with, and there's the new school guys that are all startups. So, we felt we had to own the back-end infrastructure in order to build brands. And the same thing it goes here. Who's doing large-scale hemp extraction? I know there's a lot of press releases and a lot of people talking about it, but I have my facility up and running. I have my licenses. Come see it. So I won't go into this kind of an eye chart, but cultivation, production, sales, and retail. In cannabis, we have to do all our own manufacturing, including into product form factors. In CBD, I can take my raw ingredients and I can use an ecosystem of co-packers who can make lots of products, right? So I've made a lot of beverages over the years. There's people that will manufacture this stuff for us. We do have a commercial kitchen that is about to go live in California, but we'll use an ecosystem of other vendors. And right now, the blue are where we have operations. So we're based in Agora Hills, California. We've got a creative agency in Long Beach that we own. We've got the kitchen I just mentioned in Rancho Cucamonga. Say that 5 times fast. And then in Kentucky, for those of you that don't know the geography, right below Indiana, we have a 90,000 square foot facility on 14 acres, so we have room to build out additional buildings there. And we've got 2,000 acres of farmland dedicated, contracted for the next 3 years. These farmers represent about 15,000 acres. There's three guys, three farmers represent 2,000 of our number today. And we can grow that number quite a bit in the future. And then we've got a series of co-packers and third-party guys that set up. I can talk to you after. We've got a bunch of co-packers all over the country Those are just the ones I had on the chart. We do have a strategic partnership with Cush for packaging. We're working with Protus, who's in the room, for executive search. I've got a full-time lobbyist in Washington, Don Bramer Group. I met with Mitch McConnell's chief of staff and their crew back in March. One of the reasons we made the investment in Kentucky, because I felt like the Farm Bill was going to happen fairly quickly. And we've got a whole series of creative agencies, including the Wasserman Group, that we use for brands. All channels of trade opened up to us with the Farm Bill, right? So you got every form factor and every type of customer, from large hotel chains to large retailers, and they're all in play, and they all need different types of products. And the form factors I'm talking about, obviously there's smokable products, there's extracts, and then everything you can do putting this product into medicine, food, lotions, all of those things. We have about 50 brands of CBD we're working on. These are some of the brands that are either launched or about to launch. I've got instant strips and Taos going into 1,000 convenience stores this month. If that test goes well, I'll put it in 15,000 by summer. The instant is a strip, like a Listerine strip, so under your tongue. It's a pretty good delivery system. We'll see if customers like it. We're doing a lot of experimenting. No one really knows what the ideal form factor is going to be in this product, so we're trying a lot of different ones, and we're going to figure out which ones work the best. One brand, JSLV, is an example of how we go about branding. We've got A-lister athletes that we've lined up as partners in the brand. It's a brand by athletes for athletes. So you wear Nike, you consume Gatorade, and you apply JSLV. That's our athlete CBD brand. So it's pain patches and creams and lotions. And you can imagine an end cap at Target with a bunch of these guys life size cut out. One of the problems with CBD is there's so much fake product. There's so much uncertainty about what's good, what's not good. Consumer demand is here and interest is here, but no one knows what the answers are. We can't make health claims, but I can have Travis Pastrana stand up and say, I'm the greatest, BMX guy in the world, and I use JSLV to heal my aches and pains. We have a very developed ecosystem of distribution partners. I was chairman of the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America, built $1 billion wine and spirits distributor in the past, and know all those guys really well, and the beer guys, and all the food people too. So we've already got that kind of locked up. Full circle social media. If you look up Taos brand CBD on Instagram, you'll see one example of how we're approaching social. That's a lifestyle kind of brand. A lot of media. There's a lot of pictures of me, but we're on Varney, we're on CNBC, we're on a lot of stuff. But that helps obviously with what we're doing with the company. Our management team, I'll put up against any company in the industry. Not to get into a fight with anybody, but we have real depth. My CFO he was the Seagram hired him, and when they bought Universal, he became CFO of Universal Studios. Drew Milburn's a 13-year Marine who left his dairy farm in Kentucky to join the Marines because it'd be a little easier, he could sleep in. And he's been in this space for a long time, so he runs our operational side of things with an iron fist, which is what you need. We don't need magical growers. We need great management, and we need leadership. And when you have 100 workers on a large ranch, you need discipline, right? So that's what we have. You don't need to be a magical grower, but you need to be able to follow SOPs. That's how we operate. I think I'm in a group called YPO, Young Presidents Organization. We were young when we joined, and now we're gold with a silent G. But we've got, I think, 6 YPOers who have all run their own companies actively full-time in our business. My sales and marketing team came out of wine, spirits, and CPG, PepsiCo, Gallo, Anheuser-Busch, Pernod Ricard. So we speak the same language, and we're applying that approach to cannabis and to now the hemp business. So with 2,000 acres, which we're actually up to 2,500, but 2,000 acres will produce about 4.5 million pounds at a very conservative approach to growing. It'll produce about 25,000 kilos of CBD, a lot of which will be sold into 2020. Well, the big question is, what's the pricing going to be? And so in this room, can someone tell me what the price of CBD, a kilo of CBD is going to be next year? because I want to give you my money right now. But truthfully, we all can agree that demand is through the roof, right? I'll send you the presentation. You don't have to really. It's all good. So demand is going to go through the roof, but also there's going to be people like us that are jumping in and scaling. How quickly does that happen? How quickly does the price of CBD come down? Your guess, my guess is, look, it's going to go up before it goes down because demand is so high. And if you can do it properly and with visibility of supply chain from seed to processing to sale, that's going to be very popular among large retailers, large businesses and large CPG companies that want to put this stuff in their brands. So we think it's going to go up before it goes down. But that being said, I assume right now we're paying $6,000 to $11,000 a kilo, depending on what you're getting, right? From isolate to full spectrum distillate, it ranges in there. And I think that'll go up, but in our model, we assume it goes down to $4,000 a kilo on average, $3,000 the next year, $2,000 the next year. If it goes to $1,000, that would be a collapse, and we'll still make almost $100 million next year. So that's the numbers we project. These are estimates, forward-looking statements, all that stuff is a disclaimer at the end. So, but $28 million of EBITDA this year in our wellness company, and $323 million in next year. That's EBITDA. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm going to get the multiple of Charlotte's Web at 82.6 times their last year's EBITDA. I'm not going to say that. But at 10 times, which I think we're going to be a little bit more than 10 times valued in the marketplace. Next year we're a $3.2 billion company.
What are you today?
This round, the equity side of the round is at 625 pre. And that's my disclaimer. Thank you. I'll open up the questions if I have time. Do I have time? We have time for, 5 minutes of questions or what? Okay. Couple minutes of questions if there are any.
So you said you guys are going to make money even if it goes down to zero, right?
Well, then it goes to zero.
Well,
if it goes to...
But 1,000, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to deal with the competition from South America?
Well,
And China.
yeah, no, look, it's a good question, but if you're Coca-Cola and you decide you want to put CBD into a line extension on vitamin water, all right, just as an example, you want a really visible supply chain, and you want tested product that you know where it came from. I don't mind buying my cell phone from China, but honestly, I don't want my CBD from China. I'll sell against those guys all day long. It's just a fact. So look, there'll be competition, but it's not like it's going to be easy for them to just go in and take the business. We'll see, But I'll sell any brand that wants China CBD in there. I'll go head to head with them.
With your rollout in Kentucky, did you buy another one of the players there, or are you have you set up fresh?
We set up fresh, but we partnered with a farmer who had a license last year, part of Murray State. So we walked in the door to a license situation, and then we were able to get our own licenses. It was, timing was everything, but it worked well. In Kentucky, of course, they filed with the Department of Agriculture the day the Farm Bill passed, right? Because they were ready to go. McConnell was pushing it. One question you might have is like, what's the FDA going to do? Because Coke and Nestle and those guys aren't going to put CBD in their edible and consumable products until that's resolved. We're in favor of this FDA process. We need to clean up the market. We need to shut down all the illegal operators and the people that aren't putting real CBD in their products. But I don't think that McConnell or any of the other congressmen who pushed this thing through with hemp in it intended for the most desired product coming out of hemp to be locked up in Big Pharma or in the bureaucracy forever. So we'll be at the hearing on May 31st. We're actively engaged in the process, but I would encourage everyone in the industry to make sure your voice is heard because that right now Big Pharma is trying to keep it on the sidelines, and the big retailers won't do it until or big retailers are going to go way before the manufacturers, but the manufacturers aren't going to do it until that's clear. Was there a question back there? I thought I saw. Yeah.
Just quickly, would you mind reviewing the use of funds for the 50 million raise?
Do I have time for that? How about this? Anyone who would like to, I'm happy to share the deck, and I'm happy to do a call with anyone afterwards. And I've got cards, so, and I'm easy to find. Smoke. I'm Smoke. I'm the only Smoke. Is my real name, it's on my birth certificate. Mom knew. That's all I'm saying. Thanks, everyone.